Well, hello. This is England speaking. Hope everything's going all right over there in Arizona. Today is the 6th of December, and tonight is the baptism of Brother Matton. It will be about 5:30 this evening when we have the baptism. We've been teaching Brother Matton ever since I got to Northampton. His wife and his two daughters, they're about 16 and 15, have been members for about 9 years. But just recently he's shown some interest, and we went over and started teaching him, and he's come right along, and he's going to be baptized this evening. He's really a cool guy. We've really enjoyed teaching him. Also, we have another family, Brother and Sister Webb and their son David. Brother and Sister Webb live on a street called Swale Drive. Swale Drive had been tracted by the missionaries last March during the Find a Member Week, when the Missionares, when I was in it, came down here. It was tracted during that week when they were trying to invite people out to the church. And it was again tracted by the district leader before I came in June. It was tracted 3 times. They placed an amazing amount of books on that street. There's about 150 homes, and they placed somewhere around 40 to 50 books, I think, on the one street. And they made themselves up a list to call back on them after they finished tracking it. Well, for some reason that was in June. It didn't get called back on. So when I came to Northampton in August, there was this callback list for Swale Drive. So we went and called back on a few of them, but then Elder Crawford got sick and we couldn't do so. And then when Elder Crawford finally left, I got Elder Otley and he got sick and we couldn't do so. And then when Elder Gardner came finally, I lost my briefcase, and it had the callback list in it. So we decided that we would retract the entire street. So we tracked it three times. And that's what we usually do, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening. We decided to do it until we found everybody in and got all these books back at least, or found somebody to teach. My companion, another mate who was working with him one night, decided to track it for the 4th time, which is unusual. And on the very last door, found Brother and Sister Webb, who the missionaries hadn't seen before because they just moved in after the time they placed these books. So it's a good job we lost my briefcase, or we never would have found them. Sister Webb should be baptized a week from today. Brother Webb in perhaps a fortnight, 2 weeks. Their son David sometime in between, we're not sure. Perhaps next week, perhaps in a fortnight. So we're looking very much forward to seeing them come into the church. The mission field has really been blossoming here. We had 384 baptisms during last year, 68. That's very, very low for the CBM. We've been going downhill for a long time. A lot of the missionaries were goofing off, I think. None of us were doing very much baptizing. So we're even going further downhill this year. We didn't have very many baptisms for the first 6 months. In fact, we were even below our record of 384, the pace that we set the year before. But we had Elder Spencer W. Kimball dedicate the mission field the day I lost my briefcase, and ever since then we've been baptizing up a storm. It's really been great. The mission had never baptized over 50 for about 2 years. We baptized 51 in October, I believe I told you, after the dedication in the middle of September. And then in November we baptized 74. So we made a goal to make it to 500 for this year, and we needed 93 this month to break it. And I think we're going to make it. I think we're going to have over 100, we hope. And our district should have about 5. And if every district has 5, we will make it. So that's our goal. If we get Brother Matton and then Brother and Sister Webb and David, that'll be 4 right there. And another team has 2 coming along, so that would be 6. So we're hoping for the best with everybody. The weather here has been pretty inclement, actually. We had a couple of nice days during this last week, but generally it's been very, very cold. We've had 2 snows already. It snowed last night a little bit, and it was just all slush when we got up this morning. It was very cold. I had to go out and do a little tracking with one of the teams. It's been kind of miserable, a little bit earlier than usual. We had the best summer that England ever had, I believe. That's what everybody says. So I was happy to be here for that, considering we had the worst summer last year and one of the worst winters, too. So I was happy to get one good season in anyway. We I got your letter, Dad, yesterday about the lottery. Was relieved to see my number's 241. Went and visited one of the elders today. His birthday's today. He's 21 today. And his poor number is number 10, so it looks like he's going to be in uniform before his time's over. He wasn't too pleased to hear that. My companion is 172, so he's kind of in a touch-and-go area like I am. A little more touchy-and-go than me. Had some bad breaks in the last few months since I've been made DL. Of course, losing my briefcase didn't help matters at all. And also, when I sent those slides home last August, beginning of August, they had about 200 slides, all the best ones I had. And there was 2 tapes, a couple of the Missionares, and some other things which are real special to me. But looks as though they got lost. They had all the pictures of the Missionares, of Wales, every place that we sung, every place I visited in my 10.5 months in the Missionares. It was all down the tube, so looks like I won't be having them when I get home, unless somebody happens to find them in the post somehow. So, I guess that's tough luck. And also, I got another bad break just today. Thanks for that check you sent me, Dad, for the steak and whatnot. In fact, we were looking forward to going to use it today. So when I went over to my letter list and thumbed through it, the check and the letter are both gone. I've never thrown any of them away, but they're not there. So I don't know what to do about that. We've searched and searched the whole room and all my pockets and everything today. Doesn't seem like there's much luck. So it looks as though I'll have to do with hamburgers rather than a steak. But thanks for the check anyway. Also, Mom, you mentioned something about the church sending me a check in the mail and that I hadn't cashed it yet. I don't believe I received anything like that. Perhaps, I'm sure that it must have been sent to the wrong address or something, because it never did get to me, or I would have used it. So if you can inform the ward on that, so they can cancel the check and don't worry about it. If you would, please. Northampton is a real great area. I really love being here. This has been the longest I've been in one area, and I hope to be here for a few more months after this. I was talking to President Johnson recently, and he said I could probably go to Wales when I finish here, so that sounds like a good idea for me, as long as it's not too cold when I go. But I'm looking forward to that. Also, the Northampton people are really nice. They have a very strong branch here. They have a full-size chapel, just like we do at home, even though they're just a branch, because they don't live anywhere close to the stake, and so they can't be called a ward. And so we're just a branch here, but we have a lot of good members, and we're looking forward to making a stake around the Northampton area in the next 2 or 3 years. And so they will be undoubtedly awarded at that time. But people are really great. Not only the members of the church, but a lot of the people you tracked up are extra nice in Northampton. We should be having a lot more baptisms, I hope, in our district, because it is a good area here. Of course, the whole mission is baptizing more than they ever have done before, so I guess it won't be anything outstanding for Northampton to baptize a lot. So Christmas is rolling up very fast. In about 10 days, we'll be going to Swanwick, which is near Derby, to the Hayes Conference Center when we have the Christmas seminar for the mission field. The whole mission gets together. We have a real big party, about 200 of us. They have it 3 days each, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for the first half, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the second half. So on Wednesday, when we're all together, it's quite a big charge. We have to take the train this year. It's going to be rather expensive. It's 44 shillings up and back, so that's about, let's see, £2.04. That's about $6 on the train, plus about $10 for the 3 days meals and board there. But that's pretty reasonable. So we're looking forward to that. All my Christmas presents home to you. One of the ones I sent from Lewis's in Birmingham. That's one of the big department stores, and they said they'd send it by surface to 2417, so it'll be going there. And also my big box I sent home. It's got a lot of the junk that I've collected on my mission. I sent that to 2417 too. So I hope you don't mind going over and getting it. I hope it gets there all right before Christmas. Also, regarding the telephone call you want me to set up, I can go ahead and do it, but I think we've already passed the deadline for setting it up for Christmas. So maybe we'll plan for a day or so after that, or maybe New Year's Day, so you can have as a birthday present, Mom. So we'll probably, I'll let you know. I guess the telephone company will let you know when I do it. I'll book it pretty soon. I doubt you're going to believe what that telephone call was. Some guy called me collect from the Northampton, down by the train depot. He's from London. He had just called President Johnson in the mission home. He said he was in some big trouble. And he wanted to talk to some of the members of the church. He himself was a member of the church. So we had to run down on behalf of President Johnson and help him out. He's kind of weird. He just got out of a sanatorium. And he's on his way to Birmingham to talk to President Johnson now. I have to loan him a couple of quid for him to get on the train. I don't know whether he's going to go to the nearest off-licensed bar or pub to buy himself a case of scotch. He himself was originally from Scotland, so it was quite an interesting experience. I don't know exactly what the whole story is going to be, but we'll try and sing this song once again. That was just a little impromptu number we threw in there to liven things up. Speaking of livening things up, have you seen Reggie lately? I got a letter from him yesterday. It was all the big football scores and all the basketball scores, the information about the New York Knickerbockers and how well they're doing, whatnot. You wanted to know what time, some plans for next summer about getting a job and whatnot. My release date is the 18th of June, but the draft board, the letter I got from them when I first left, said I was only welcome to leave until the 12th of June. I don't think I'll have too much problem changing that to the 18th, but in any event, that's a general period of time when I'll be home. I could either get a summer job for the remainder of the summer, or I could go to summer school, or both. I know I need to get a job, that's for sure. But the big thing is to get my student deferment if I do. One of the things I've got to find out is whether or not how fast this draft is soaking up these levels, these numbers, and if there's any possible chance of getting to 241. And if there isn't any chance, perhaps I'll just go for a 1A classification and sweat it out for the next 6 months. Then maybe they'll let me off for the rest of the time. But if it looks like it's going fast and I might get in, perhaps I better go for 2S deferment for school. So there's a lot of decisions to be made there. I guess they're using 19 to 26 this first year of the draft, rather than just all the 19-year-olders. My companion's looking goo-goo-eyed at me, mainly because he's 172. No, so it looks like there'll be a lot more people to draft in this first draft, and so it might be worthwhile getting into it. There are, well, so whatever the plans are, I want to get a job doing something besides inking up machines in the telephone company duplication department. I don't mind the telephone company, though. I like the people there. But I hope I can get a little bit more interesting job. I've got to do a lot of studying and reviewing before I get back to Tempe, because I've forgotten how to multiply and divide and subtract and add already, let alone do my calculus and whatnot. So it's going to be kind of tough for me when I first start out. That's why I was thinking perhaps if I audit some schooling. But I think what you better do is, just as soon as this next semester starts, that being the first week in February, if you would go down to the engineering department and talk to one of Lee Thompson's associates down there, perhaps go right up to the electrical engineering desk, see if my old counselor is there. What's his name? Snyder. His name was Dr. Snyder. Get my dossier out, and I'm sure the curriculums have changed since the last time I was there. But go through and plan out the normal course of study and try and get it into a 2-year plan. If I have to take summer school the next following year, fine, but I don't want to waste any more than 2 years. I think I can get it done. If not, that's tough luck, but I think I can do it in 2 years if we plan it right. It's got to be done, though, in February or so, because I have to get registered and whatnot, and I don't want to be out in the cold come next September. So if you could do that for me, it'll help matters quite a bit. Also remember, I don't know any of my math, and so if I want to take a summer school class, it might be a review of some of the math classes I've already had. But whatever the counselor thinks is best is fine with me. But I'll put it in his hands. I'm sure the curriculum has changed since I left ASU. I knew they were trying to do so. I guess that's about the lot. I'll wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and happy house decorating and happy weeding in the yard if you have any weeds or if you have any grass, and happy putting and whatever. So I look forward to perhaps talking to you on the phone, maybe on the first of the year, and seeing you in the middle of the year. So I guess I'll end this tape then. Thanks very much for all your letters and all your money and all your thoughts and everything. Sorry I had to lose that $20 check, but I don't know where it is. Maybe it'll show up between now and then, between now and the next few days. I sure hope so. My mate says I'm a real twit for telling you I lost my check, but I can't imagine it being lost. It's got to be. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about what we've been doing here the last couple of weeks. The flat itself is, like I said, it's really a mess. And of course, then since we're living in a flat, we have to do our own cooking, which is our first mistake. For breakfast, we have eggs and either porridge or cornflakes, so we have a lot of variety there. But for lunch is our meal where we get a lot of variety. We have soup and and bread. And then for dinner, we have potatoes with macaroni on it, just slopped on top, and then with some sort of a sauce on top of that. Or we have potatoes with rice on it and some sort of slop on that. So we get a whole lot of variety in our meals. I haven't seen a piece of meat except for the time that we ate over at a member's house since I left Salt Lake. Now, I'm just dying for a steak. Oh, gee.
Other than Margret, things have been rather slow around here as far as contacts. She has a girlfriend who is interested in the church, and I believe we're going to start teaching her on Monday. But we haven't been able to track up anybody worth talking about. We've been doing an awful lot of tracking. We track probably 7 hours a day, 8 hours a day, if we don't have a lot of teaching to do. Then we have a new program. It's called the hissing program, where you walk up the door and you say, we want your opinion of this book, and you throw a Book of Mormon at them, and you say, we'll call back in about 3 days and get your opinion of 10 pages, and then you just close the door and they hope they keep it. And we've been doing a little bit of that. Our Book of Mormons we have here are getting kind of shabby, and if we don't sell them soon, we're going to have to buy them ourselves. We don't want to have to do that. We've been in 3 bashes since I got here. My companion hasn't been in a bash in 4 months. And as soon as I get here, everything starts happening. One night we were tracting, and it was going to be our last door. It was about 9:30, and we walked up, knocked on the door, and some lady came out who said she was from the Church of England. We told her there was a prophet on the earth, and she told us, big deal, I've seen God myself. And we said, oh, that's very interesting. And all of a sudden her husband comes roaring to the door. Before we could find out the circumstances of her seeing God, which is usually a bunch of baloney when they say that anyway, he starts arguing to us about this and that, and we found out he's an agnostic. He doesn't believe in any religion. He's not even sure there's a God. So we talked to him for some time. Elder Marsh actually did most of the talking. And they argued back and forth for about 40 minutes, and we never did get off the doorstep. Finally I told him if he had the guts he could ask his Father in heaven, because a 14-year-old boy had the guts. I asked him if he had the same guts that this 14-year-old boy had. He said he didn't, so we soon left after that. We got into another discussion. We tracked up a man who was a member of the Salvation Army. Now in the States, the Salvation Army to me are these people who ring bells on Christmas, and do this, like the Deseret Industries and stuff. So over here it's a roaring religion, and they really take things seriously. And so we talked to him, and he was a very good person. He was an open-minded person, and we set up a meeting with him. So when we came back, he had brought one of his, I guess, officials from the Salvation Army, and we really got into a bash. We got there about 8, and we left about 10, and we accomplished absolutely nothing. And this guy, not the man who at the home we were at, but this guy that he brought to be there, was so close-minded. It was pitiful. It was really sickening. We'd throw him to logic, and he wouldn't be able to see our point. Just a very simple logic. If A, then B. And then we define B, and then he wouldn't accept A was the same as B. And the guy was just out of his tree. It really made us mad. But we didn't get much accomplished, but we did learn. I learned quite a bit about talking to people and from that experience. Another night we ran into a man at the door who was I guess you could say an agnostic. And he was a salesman. And he told us we were all salesmen just trying to peddle something. And we got a little bit irate at him for that. And we talked to him for about a half an hour. That was our last door that night, too. So we haven't been getting much sleep lately. We've been supposed to be getting up at 6 o'clock, and we've been doing that every day except for one morning our alarm clock. I guess if it went off, we didn't hear it because we slept right through it and got up at 7. So other than that, we've been getting up at 6 and going to bed at least at 10:30, if not later. Which, for me is kind of a change. The weather over here is ridiculous. It'll be so cold one day, and then the clouds will separate and the sun will shine. You'll take off your jacket and go back to your cycle and stuff it in your cycle bag. Walk away, and all of a sudden it'll start pouring rain on you. You never know what's going to happen. It's always one thing. It's always inconsistent. You never know what's going to happen. It's unpredictable. Like Monday, it was very warm here and very humid. Of course, that was our diversion day, and we were running around and just perspiring all day. So that evening we went up to take our weekly bath, and the bathhouse, for some reason, decided not to have weekly baths open on Monday, on just that particular day. And so we haven't had a bath for almost a fortnight now, and we're going to go to Stratford-upon-Avon down in Shakespeare country next Thursday. And so we're going to have to work on next Monday, so that will not be our diversion day. So we're going to be gone 3 weeks without a bath. And I was sure glad to get in the water yesterday to baptize her, because I sure needed it. I was so embarrassed because my feet were so dirty. I mean, you could actually see the dirt. They almost caked off when I walked in. It was just terrible. But other than that, things are kind of fun around here. I'm getting used to the rain. It rained my first 11 days that I was here, and they hadn't had rain 5 days previous to the day I came, which is just my luck. By the way, the flight over was excuse me, somebody's at the door. You'll never guess what just came. The mailman brought an airmail package from my parents. It had my hay fever medicine in it. Boy, am I glad. I don't know what it is, but there's something either around the apartment, the flat, or inside of it that just makes my hay fever go crazy. I come home at night with not a sign of it, and I'll walk in and get into bed, and I'll just start sneezing and sneezing and sneezing. I thought it may have been my feather pillow, but I threw that away. I still have it. Thought it might be my wool blankets, and I don't think it's that, because I think I've had wool blankets before. I've never been allergic to anything except Bermuda grass, and I haven't seen any Bermuda grass since I left Phoenix. But we're moving, so maybe it'll go away. I sure hope so, because I'm really miserable from hay fever. My mate's going to leave me. He's going to go out and telephone our DL and tell him what we found our digs. Woo! Yeah, we're really happy about getting out of this dump. We can't believe it. I don't know whether you've ever made a tape to anybody, but it sure is dumb just speaking to the wall. It sounds so silly.
I'll sit on your lap and make it better.
Elder Marsh is going to sit on my lap and make it better. No thanks, Elder. No thanks.
I can read that scroll.
Yes, well, I have a nerd for a mate. He just wants me to tell you that. No. You're probably wondering whether or not I've seen Jim Poirot. Well, the answer is no, I haven't seen him. And I've just written him one card since I've been here. He's over in Leicester, which is to the east of where we are. And I'm probably going to be able to see him on the 24th of July. I believe we have an all-mission get-together of some sort. And that'll be very nice. I hope I get to see him soon. But my companion... I'm erasing a short part of this here because of some technical difficulties. So there's probably going to be a blank space for a few minutes, just for a few seconds. So hold your horses and there'll be more to come. But I think... I don't know... Last Monday we had the first DL meeting, district leaders meeting, that I went to, and they made me speak for 10 minutes on the love of the English people. That's sure as far as I haven't been here. I was only there for 12 days then, and so I certainly haven't got as good as opinion on the love of the English people as any of the other elders were there. And it was really dumb. I didn't know what to say, so I just kind of stood up there and cracked a few jokes and told them about what my first impressions were of the people. Of course, they're very friendly people. It's amazing. Like yesterday, no, it was the day before yesterday, we were looking for digs. And so we had ran out of all of the leads. We didn't know where to look, so we just started knocking on doors and asking people whether they knew of any digs. And the first place we asked, the man says, "Sure, come on in, sit down. Yeah, you're real great. You're from the States, huh? Yeah, love it, great. Yeah, groovy, cool. And he, treated us like we were his sons that just returned from the war or something. It was amazing." And he gave us a bunch of leads, and because of this, of the leads that he gave us, we were able to find real decent digs, and we were really happy for this. Although the digs that we're going to be living in are going to be occupied when school starts. You see, they're occupied now, and then the girls that were living there are going back because school is getting out. But in September they'll be back going to school, and they're probably going to kick us out of the digs. So we'll be looking again soon for digs in September. But Elder Marsh isn't worried because he's going home in September, the bum. But that's life in a big city. The trip over, I haven't said anything about that. It was a lot of fun with all the guys, especially going through Washington. Elder Marriott went to the State Department, and so his mother took me around, and it was raining cats and dogs, and it really kind of ruined everything. I couldn't see firsthand everything, and everything was so different. If I were to picture Washington in my mind, it's not the same way. You see the pictures they have in the books and everything, but you don't realize what's all around it, and everything's kind of slummy except right, you know, like the White House is beautiful, and then right around it is kind of just dumpy, and you know, and then you hear about all these Connecticut Avenue and Constitution Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue, and they're just not that great streets, and it's really crowded. And it was so different. Although it was a nice city, and of course all the monuments and everything were great. But as we drove through the park where the Washington Monument is, of course there was Resurrection City, and that was really a farce. And there was a bunch of Negro hippies running around, and of course there weren't too many of them out because it was raining cats and dogs. The only thing I really got out to see was the Lincoln Memorial. I ran up and just walked into that. That really wasn't much to see. You know, there's Lincoln sitting there looking at you, and they had the Gettysburg Address on one side and something else on the other, and I just didn't have too much time. So we also drove through Arlington Cemetery, and it was very interesting because, of course, about 3 or 4 days before that, they buried Kennedy up there. And I couldn't see the exact burial place because it was raining very hard, but I could see approximately where it was, and it was just like it was on the TV, of course. You should see the miles and miles of graves they have just from Vietnam. I was really amazed. It's really kind of sickening to see all these people and realize it was just from Vietnam. I understand they're closing off the cemetery now to just anybody who's been killed. They have to be some special man of state. So they probably won't be burying them all there in the future. But that evening, we met the rest of the guys who came in on the plane to Washington. I think there were 7 more, and so we got on the plane. Of course, we flew over to London. And just as we took off, we went through the clouds. And the pilot said we were flying up the coast to Maine and then over. And so they gave us dinner after we got up to Maine. And everybody was just completely pooped, all the missionaries. And so the dinner was real good. It was the last piece of meat I've seen, except for this eating over at a member's house, which wasn't much of meat anyway. And then they gave us a movie. It was called The Scalp Hunters with Burt Lancaster, and it was really a good show. And everybody was just trying to prop their eyes open to keep awake during the show so they could see it. It was really a funny show. And and so as soon as the movie got over, we were all ready to go to sleep, and some clod looks out the window, and he looks, "Hey, the sun's coming up." We couldn't believe it. The sun was actually coming up, and we'd forgotten that it was going to... We were up so high, and we could, you know, it was 5 o'clock in the morning, London time, and the sun was coming up, so we didn't get any sleep at all that night. When we landed in London, and it was so hot, I couldn't believe it. Not really temperature-wise, but of course humidity. And the smog was so thick, it was terrible. Elder Marriott and I left the other guys after we got our baggage fixed up to get on the other plane to Birmingham. And we eventually, after an hour and a half of hunting, found his brother and sister-in-law who were in England. He's an amateur golfer playing in the amateur golf tournaments. And they drove us around London, and we stopped at a shop and ate some English pastries, which were great. And when we drove around London, we saw Big Ben and Westminster Abbey and all that sort of junk. And it really didn't even impress me the littlest bit. I couldn't believe it. I figured if I was ever in London and saw all this, it'd really be groovy. But it just didn't impress me at all. There was so much smog. Well, we went up on top of what they call the Shell Building. It's about 25 stories. And we got up on the top of it, and you could see all of London, and you could see this building is right across the Thames from the Big Ben and the Parliament, and you could barely see maybe a mile past the Thames. It was so smoggy. And everything was so old and ugly. It was depressing, actually. And I was hoping the whole of England was not like this. And everybody was kind of depressed after we got on the plane and saw each other again, because the other guys had been around and seen everything. So we took off on this BEA, British European Airways. We got out the runway, and all of a sudden, Elder Marriott starts looking around and realizes one of our companions was still at the airport, so they had to stop the plane. They went back and got him. So we took off, and we slept that half an hour as we got up there, and then we got into Birmingham, and it was very nice in Birmingham. And the weather was like California. Like President Cannon met us there, and he knew us all by name. He was really a great guy. We went to the mission home, and we slept there for about an hour, and then we had a meeting that night. We about fell asleep in that meeting. Then we got up early in the morning and had more meetings. And at 1 o'clock, we were on the trains to our various places, and I'm out here in Dudley. It was only a 14-minute drive, train trip from the mission home. Some of them went 2 or 3 hour train trips. I guess I'm about ready to run out of tapes, so I guess I better say goodbye for now. These tapes aren't very expensive over here. I think they're 5 shillings, 5 bob. The money system is really amazing. I don't know how in the world they can count in 12s, but they do. I can't think of much else to say.
This is Saturday morning now, and I'm here alone because Elder Marsh and Peter, the district missionary, went out and went tracking this morning. I just wanted you to hear our perpetual cat. Can you hear it in the background? Oh well, big deal. I guess I'm going to have to say goodbye now, so say hello to everybody for me. Say hello to your parents and your whole family. Say hello to Jerry and Steve and Ross and their girlfriends, and especially say hello to Jim and Linda for me. And Alan, and anybody else you see, and everybody in my ward. And I hope you have a good time at camp. So I guess maybe you won't hear this tape until you get home from camp anyway. But, buenos dias. For now. But if you want to write me, be sure not to write to 91 Blowers Green Road. Write to 185 Penn's Lane at the mission home. And as soon as I find out my address, I'll send it to you. I hope you can understand what I've said, because my hay fever has made my nose so stuffed up I can't even understand what I'm saying, let alone anybody else understanding. I won't be able to write you this Monday because we'll have to be working, like I said. So I'll probably be about a week or two before you get another letter. But I'll write the Monday after next. So long. If you get a chance, go to our ward and say hello to all my friends for me, and Sandy and Jerry and everybody, and say hello to my mother if she's there. You can go over and say hello to my dad if you have a chance. So goodbye for now. This tape's kind of bad, I know, but this isn't the world's best tape recorder. I'm not the world's best tape maker either. So goodbye.
Yes, is a test, sports fans. Okay, Peter. Now, listen, we got digs, and we'll be leaving Sunday, and we'll be back in these digs Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Now, what happens is, it's going to be tight bananas, if you know what I mean. Because when you come, I understand at digs that people don't like having visitors all the time. Is that right?
It's all according what sort of digs you got.
You're right.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward at times. I know a good many people. Now, you take for instance, now they're just moving out as well. The Tipton elders, they've been living in digs where they couldn't get no visitors at all.
I see.
So they go flat down at the bottom of the hill. They're lucky.
Okay. Okay, peoples. This is Arizona. Margret. Say something.
Oh, I can't. I can't say. Hi, Elder Llewellyn, and all the elders, and it is Elder Llewellyn. And I'm just very.
Will you say something?
Oh, I can't. I'm just
something
too
Arizona.
happy. Hello, Arizona.
I'm very happy.
Yes, I am.
Oh, good.
Thank you very much.
This is Huntley Brinkley signing off.
It is. I'll say. We'd like to say hi to all Elder Llewellyn's family and all the people back home, right? Hello. In your best English. Hello. Hello, everybody there in Arizona. This is somebody English who's just been baptized into the church and who's just loved every minute of it. I suppose you know that I am Elder Llewellyn's first baptism. Well, it's my first time too, and he just made a fantastic job of it, that's all.
Did I drown you?
No, you
know what happened?
You didn't drown me.
Like this, Cynthia Baker knows. And she kept moving away.
Yes, I know.
And so I just let it drop, and I thought she was drowned.
I didn't have to grab my nose.
Well, I know it better. Cynthia's working.
Oh, I didn't have to grab my nose. I just didn't need to.
Well, what happened?
I did it naturally. Honestly, I didn't. I just went back and
I figured you might have got a nose full of water.
No.
Did you came out? You go.
I just didn't. Oh, I hope I didn't look too dreadful.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's no reason to hold your nose if it doesn't hurt.
I didn't need to. I just didn't feel like recording all that.
Yes.
When I got there, I just opened my eyes,
Well, time to go. Goodbye. This is Charles Butcher, who's a district missionary, along with Peter Jew, who just say something. Charles is kind of chicken. Come here, Charles. Test. Charles. Tweet.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marilyn, Mandy, Gertrude, and Sam. Happy birthday to you.
hello there.
Okay, Charles.
Now, you don't have to say a thing.
You
don't have to say a thing. Just sit there and talk. Now, what's your name? What's your name?
Say your name.
What's your name? Charles Butcher. Oh,
yeah.
Good. And we've established that fact. Now, what do you do in the church?
I'm a local missionary.
Right. And who do you work? Who's your mate?
Peter Drew.
Right. And Peter's sitting right here. What's your name?
Cynthia Baker.
Cynthia Baker. Okay. Now we have a quorum of 4. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Very good.
Me.
Okay. Now I don't know what we voted on, but now we have a quorum of 4. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, talk.
Huh? Now everybody shuts up. When as soon as I turn on, people shut up. Say something, Charles, quick.
What?
Say something, fuck me. Where do you come from?
I come from London.
London?
Yeah, come from
Where's
London.
that?
Down south.
Down south. I see. Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm 17.
Yeah, you really? Oh, you really now feeling?
Yes.
Very good. You want to say something? What's your name? No? That's a funny name. Who named you No?
I'm Sister Jones. I'm from... You're starting I wanted to say something. Let me speak in my best accent. No, I'm not talking broad at all. No, I don't want them all to think. Well, I'm Maureen Crofts. What else was I? We're standing in the car park on a beautiful summer evening, and
It's a lovely summer evening, Ducky.
about for once. Lovely and fresh.
Yes, it is Maureen, isn't it?
I'm Miss Baptism now.
Yes. Margret was baptised this evening.
By Elder Llewellyn. Oh yes, Elder Llewellyn.
Great, isn't he?
Yeah, this is
No, I gotta turn it off. No, I'm going to turn it off.
Well, hello. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say, except hello and happy birthday and all that sort of jazz. Maybe I'll start off by explaining the mess that you just heard. Yesterday was July 4th, and besides being Independence Day, was a baptism here in Dudley. Elder Marsh and myself baptized a girl by the name of Margret Davis, and she lives in a rather posh house, but in a Negro district, which is kind of ridiculous, actually. But her sister had been baptized not too long ago, and this is what interested Margret herself, and so Elder Marsh and his old companion, Elder Oldblad, tracked her up one day, and when I came here on the 18th of June, they had already given her 3 discussions and committed her for baptism on the 4th, and so all I had to do was to go in and help give the 4th, 5th, and 6th and 7th discussions, and that was about all she wrote. I had the opportunity to baptize her yesterday, and she's a real nice girl. She's got a great testimony, especially for a new convert. She's real enthusiastic, and I think she's going to be a leader in the church someday. Elder Marsh, of course, confirmed her yesterday. You're probably wondering what the rest of the mumbo-jumbo was. You heard Peter Drew, and also a little bit from a guy by the name of Charles Butcher, and those 2 are the district missionaries here. They're the equivalent of stake missionaries, but of course they don't have stakes. Actually, there is one stake in our area now. But these are district missionaries, and we work with them on usually Fridays, although today is Friday and they're not here, so I guess we're not working with them today. I'm just sitting around waiting for Elder Marsh to finish cooking lunch in our flat. And by the way, we're moving, in case you didn't get my last letter, we're moving from good old Blower's Green Road, which is right in the middle of Coon City and Pakistan Palace. And so we're going to be moving into a rather posh district, which we're really happy for. And we're going to be living in Dig, so we'll have much more time to study, and I hope I can be able to finish off my discussions. I was lucky enough to be able to learn while we were teaching Margret, I learned the first half of the 4th and the 5th, and I learned all of the 6th. And so I was able to help out in giving those discussions. And of course I had the first up in the mission home, and I've learned part of the 2nd and part of the 3rd. But I still have a lot to go as far as those discussions, because I haven't got them anywhere close to word perfect yet. But some of these other people, let's see, Cynthia Baker, I believe her name, she's just a girl in the ward. It's amazing how the people cling to the missionaries. It's really great. I've always seen the missionaries in the ward. I never figured I was going to be in a ward and being a missionary myself. To get on to another subject, I think I better warn you about the railroad system here. They're having a strike, and this is why the mail has been rather slow in both directions. Now, your last letter that I received, which I think was your 2nd or 3rd that I received here, I guess my 2nd here, you said you haven't heard from me, but actually I've written you twice while I've been here, but you haven't received them yet. I don't know what the holdup is. I hope they haven't been lost. But I guess it'd be life in a big city. But they should be coming pretty soon. Dudley itself is a small community which is somewhat north and west of Birmingham. It covers quite a bit of area, and it's very up and down. Here at Blower's Green, we have a gigantic hill outside the door, and we have to cycle up it every day going to our area to tract. It's really quite a character builder. It's really something. But of course, coming home, we get to go down it, and it only takes us about 2 seconds. And so that kind of helps out. At least I'm glad we get to go down it coming home and not have to go up it coming home. The flat here is what's known as a hole. We've got a perpetual sink, a perpetual tap, I should say, which runs 24 hours a day. You see that one of the gaskets or something inside has weathered, and it will not hold the water back, and so it just leaks and leaks. I mean, in a constant drip, a constant flow, all day and all night. And it sort of sounds like we're sleeping outside under the stars next to a stream. I think I'm back in Boy Scouts or something. This morning we tracted a road which is one of the longest roads in our area. It's called Himley Road. We got down to it and we noticed it was rather slummish on one side, and as we went down, most of the people were Negroes or Pakistans. And Elder Marsh walks up to the door, one of the first doors, and a Negro comes to the door, and we're not supposed to try and teach the Negroes. And so he looks at her and he says, "Hello, do you happen to know if Robert Llewellyn lives in the area?" And so I start cracking up, and the lady looks at me like I'm out of my mind, and then Elder Marsh starts laughing, and we don't know what to say, so we just finally left. She didn't know this guy, this Llewellyn guy. Went to another door, and the same thing happened, and the guy says, "Well, what does he look like?" And he says, "Oh, he's about 6 feet tall, and he's real ugly." And I started laughing again, and so it didn't help much. I thought this guy was going to hit us in the face. I think he had the impression what was going on, though. And I crossed over on the other side of the street, and the other side of the street was on a big hill, so every one of the houses were up about 50 feet off the actual street floor, so we had to walk the goofy steps up, and then it seemed like 90% of them weren't home. It was really fruitless. We only got into one home all morning, and he didn't know much about anything. He was just, I guess he was kind of sympathetic towards us because he could see we were so tired. It was just one of the last homes we went to. The posh people around here are not very receptive at all, but they are friendly until you mention the word church or Mormon or missionary, something like that. Then their ears just close up and they start closing the door ever so slowly, and you know your time is limited to getting any kind of message you want to. But tracking is kind of fun. It's a new experience every door you go to. Some of the houses are really amazing. They're identical for miles and miles, it seems like. And the only thing that makes them individual houses is like one of them will have a different door knocker or something like this. And the people inside, though, are very friendly. It's amazing they can keep their individuality living in such a regimented society like they do. We're going to eat right now, so I'm going to cut off. And it looks like I'm going to run out of tape anyway, so when I do, I'll turn it over on the other side.